It is that time on a Tuesday. Dr. Bob Olivieri stopping by for another show. And Dr. Bob, welcome. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Phil. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to have you on. I've been saying that we're going to be talking about thyroid disease because that's what we were going to talk about last week, but I think we're changing gears once again.
We are. I've been getting so many questions in the office about this new Feel Great Nate program that we're having, the advanced program. And I keep on telling people, you have to come to the workshop, because by me taking 10 minutes in an office trying to explain to you what the program's about is kind of like trying to describe an elephant by just looking at its ear.
Right.
You know, it's so complex. There's so many tiers to it. There's so many different levels of it. So they'll hear me say that and then just continue with questions, and so sometimes people say, I can't make it in on a Thursday or something like that. That's why 2 weeks ago we did it on a Wednesday. But so there was a few questions that they were asking, but a lot of them were just saying, can't you just give me an overview of what it's about? What's different about it? Because I've had probably about 15 patients that have gone through the Feel Great Nate program over the years. And they're like, well, what's the difference between this advanced program and the regular Feel Great Nate? Is it the same? And I said, they're not the same. The new one is an 8-step process, and the original one is a 2-step process. So there's so much to it. It's so much more complex that I kind of want to give a little overview about it. This Thursday night at 7:00 in the office, we're going to do a presentation with this. We decided, since it's become so popular, we're doing the workshops now every other week instead of every month.
Right.
Because we have a huge interest in it. People are getting it, Phil. I got to tell you, I'm really, really super excited about this. For 6 or 7 years doing this radio show, talking about chronic disease as a result of systemic inflammation, like saying we have inflammatory factors in our environment and our foods that really make us sick and ill. And there are steps that you can do to actually get yourself better. Last night, I had 2 very prominent cardiologists in my office, and we were talking, and she goes, and she's been a huge one of them has been a huge supporter of the program, has gone through it, her family's gone through it, but she's turned around and she goes, your message is really kind of getting through. She goes, guess what? In our journals now, for the last couple of years, they're starting to talk about forget the cholesterol model.
Really?
Let's start talking about the inflammation. I started laughing because we had talked about this last year too, that in their journals it's starting to pop out. Do you know that is 15 years behind what we already know, the science we already knew, that systemic inflammation causes these things? 15 years, Phil. 15 years, right? Well, and now it's just coming out in some of the medical journals. I was like, seriously, really? Like 2-3 years ago, they're starting to talk about, how about some of these other chronic diseases besides cardiovascular disease? They're all related. They all have a common root origin. And Feel Great Nate Advanced is designed to find that underlying root cause, not to treat a disease, not to treat the end condition when everything else breaks down, because there's a list of things that break down before you get a disease, right?
Yeah.
So how about looking at some of the origins? It can be certain things like mineral deficiency. It can be certain things that you just need to heal this leaky gut with, simple things like glutamate and whatever. Simple things that you can stop an entire lifelong time of suffering. And how about just getting to the core stuff? This, I don't care what seminar. If you go to a functional medicine seminar, you are going to see every single specialty there. Neurology, endocrinology, internal medicine. They're all there, and we're all studying the same thing. It's really crazy that, an endocrinologist will be learning about intestinal health. A neurologist is learning about liver function. Like that. I did my residency in neurology. You don't talk about liver function in there. I'm really lucky because one of the main neurologists, functional neurologists I studied under was Datis Karazian, who is one of the foremost functional medicine doctors in the United States. But that's not the norm. But you can't not turn on television right now without seeing 5 or 6 functional medicine guys talking about Dave Perlmutter, Mark Hyman. Mark Hyman right now is running a series, and it's kind of cool because like half my patients in my office are getting this by way of email. Mark Hyman's doing an entire series on brain health. That makes me laugh because I know Mark Hyman. Mark Hyman's specialty is not brain health.
Really?
But what he is doing is he's interviewing like 15 or 20 of the top functional neurologists that do brain health.
Brain health, would that be like brain fog that you talk about?
Brain function. Our new program, you get 6 forms you got to fill out to evaluate just your brain health.
Wow.
Okay. The amount of questionnaire, you got 38 pages you got to fill out. 6 of them are designed to your brain health. And guess what we're going to do? Not only are we going to try to decrease any of the brain fogs and memory and all that type of stuff, we're going to give you exercises for your brain. We're going to isolate which lobe of the brain isn't firing the way it's supposed to, and give you exercises to that area of the brain to make it stronger.
How do you exercise your brain?
Easily.
Really?
In order for you, like if you prick your finger, right? Mm-hmm. In order for you to feel that on your left hand, your right parietal lobe, the back of your brain on your right side, perceives that. And there's a map of that your whole body, from your finger to your toes, up there. That lights up like a Christmas tree. So if you're having some sensory pathway, whether it be at the receptor, the nerve, the cord, up through the tract through the thalamus to the opposite side of the brain, we can isolate that through certain types of testing. And then you do exercises for that. So if you can't feel, if you're having some sensory deficit, what do? Well, you stimulate in different ways. You stimulate it with some pain receptors. You stimulate it with feeling different sizes and objects to be able to find out. You got to light up that parietal lobe. That's how you exercise it. So it's really cool. You do stimulus to fire the neurons along that pathway. That's just a small part of this Feel Great Nate. I'm telling you, it's unlike anything else you've seen. And we're in Cape May County, and it's so hard. But I don't have to I don't have to grab somebody and say, "Listen to me now," because people are getting it. They're getting it by way of television. They're getting it by the internet. They're understanding now. Wow, there's more to health than finding a disease and giving a pill for it.
And I said last week when I went to attend the Feel Great Nate seminar, the people that were there, they were getting it too. They were nodding their heads and they were saying, "Yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah, absolutely."
Almost 3/4, maybe a little bit more than 3/4 of the people signed up for the program there.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. They recognize that it's something that may be very helpful to them. So Dr. Bob Olivieri, his office is on Route 9 in Route 47 in Rio Grande. You can call him at 609-886-8585. Feel Great Nate is coming up this Thursday at the office, but you have to call in and register to get into the seminar to find out what it's all about. More discussion with Dr. Bob Olivieri when we come back here on 106.3 The Shore. 106.3 The Shore. Dr. Bob Olivieri, of course, is here with us, as he always is on Tuesdays. We're talking about Feel Great Nate, another seminar coming up this Thursday at 7 o'clock at the office. And it's Feel Great Nate. It's a new, improved, pumped-up version.
Right. What it is we still have the original Feel Great Nate program. And the focus of that is to actually do what we call intestinal healing, like getting your gut ready, and then doing some liver detoxifications. And that's a very powerful tool to get healthy. But this particular program addresses so many different things. What I have found over a period of time, when we started this program initially, it was intended to be what this advanced program is. People weren't ready down here for it. They just weren't. They didn't understand it. And I always say a confused mind says no. So if I'm trying to explain to them that they can't get out of bed until 2 o'clock in the afternoon and they're going through some digestive, they have some depression, but they also have diarrhea and constipation and all these other symptoms that you have to piece together by way of detective work. You have to do that because when you do a 5-minute consultation with somebody, they're not going to be telling you, I haven't had a bowel movement in 3 days, right? They're not going to talk about other things, they're about their like sex hormones, and they don't do that. Our consultation's an hour and 15 minutes, and you're already filled out, 36 pages of very detail about your life. So I have a really good idea before I sit down with you what systems aren't working, and our questionnaires really target so many different organ systems that I sit down, I pretty much got a direction on where we're going with this.
And this is interesting because whenever I go to a new doctor or a new, when I'm a new patient, they give you all these forms to fill out, and you have to check off, do you have heart disease, liver disease? It's basically like a yes or no kind of thing.
Correct.
You don't get into any details.
No.
You're saying your questionnaire gets into more detail.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
There's specific questions towards specific organ systems, not your past medical history of, you had pneumonia. Okay, you had pneumonia. What am I going to do with that information? All right,
right.
Your immune system may be taxed at one point in time. That's not this. That's not this. This is detective work. This is work. There's a lot of work. But it was my passion 6 to 8 years ago. And I have to tell you, my dream was getting crushed because people were worried about spending $200 for a test kit that their insurance didn't cover. And I was like, you're not getting out of bed until 2:00 in the afternoon. You have a horrible home life. You're arguing with your spouse all the time, and you're like, you don't know why you're going off the handle, off. And I was like, $200, come on, wake up.
Right.
But really, honestly, people that are that far gone, this sounds bad, but they have bad brain. Their brains are inflamed. They're not making good health decisions about they're not making good decisions about anything, So they need a coach. They need a guide. And 8 weeks was not enough. 8 months, that's enough.
Wow.
I'm telling you right now, I'm going to take you through some concepts. We're going to sit down face to face 8 times for an hour.
And that's quite a commitment, not only with the patient, but with you as well, Dr.
kidding.
Bob.
It is a lot of commitment on my part. No kidding. Yeah, you try getting your family doctor to sit. Well, I don't mean family doctor. I'm not. We were doing 2 different services, so I shouldn't say that.
Okay.
2 totally different. But I'm just saying, you try to get somebody to sit down with them,
anybody,
and talk to them, right? For an hour. What's it going to cost you? $250 an hour to be able to go and do that. And they talked about your condition. We have action steps for you to do, and we hold you accountable for this. You're going to be doing so many little things to change your life, but we're making you do it. And remember, a lot of these people that come in, let's say if you have a thyroid disease, that affects your brain. That affects every single tissue in your body. If you're diabetic, that inflammation is affecting your decision makings. So you need some guidance to be able to get you out of the funk, and you need to be held accountable. And so in the first portion of for the first 8 weeks, you're being seen 3 times a week in our office. You're going to be held accountable. When we start getting the systems better, you're going to start going, wow, I didn't even know I was that bad. Everybody else was telling me I was that bad. So if you have a friend that you really kind of know that looks like kind of like her life's falling apart or his life's not falling apart, but they're just not right. They're not the same person they used to be. Just come for 1 hour and sit and listen to a workshop. If it doesn't resonate with you, you don't hear little bells going off, then it's not for you. But it costs nothing to go and listen to this. And I promise you're going to learn something. You're going to take away some things, some tools that you can at least use. There might be small amounts, but you can use some. We talk about all the products that we use, so you can go out on your own and you can buy those things if you want to, and try to do it yourself. But I know most people are not capable of actually doing it themselves, and that's why this advanced program came about. And I am so unbelievably proud of it. And it's been a lot of time. I mean, the materials you get, I think when you come, you're going to see this huge table full of materials that you get. You're going to go, I get all of this? Yep, you do, in this one program. So it is well worth it.
And it's interesting you say if you know someone who has not been themselves, whatever, because once you get into a funk, once you get into bad habits or just some bad situations, you tend to accept it.
Yes.
And you tend to think this is the normal, man, when it's not the norm.
Right. It's it's true. One of my colleagues, when I was starting to talk about the program, he goes, "Man, you're really passionate about it."
Oh yeah.
And I have and he has a very, very, very calming effect. His voice is very, in all of the video educate, because you're going to get some video education, and all of his video education is very calming and very kind of like spiritual. And I'm listening to what he says, and I'm going, wow, I'm like nothing about that. And my one friend turned around and he goes, yep, you're absolutely not like, Dr. Patel. You're absolutely positively not like him. But, you still have the passion, you still have the knowledge, but, and he goes, you're definitely more excitable. And I go, I am. I dedicated like 6 to 7 years of my life, of everything I know, to try to get somebody better into this program. So you bet I want it to succeed.
And you need to be exposed to people with different personalities. I think that helps you out as well.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
We're talking with Dr. Bob Olivieri. It's Feel Great Nate. That's the seminar that's coming up this Thursday at 7:00 at the office. You do need to register for it. The number is 609-886-8585. That's 609-886-8585. I'm confusing myself.
That's
here.
correct. Make sure you call, though. Yeah, you really do have to reserve some seats in here. I mean, we had 22 people over at Lucky Bones. So I really want to make sure I have enough seating for that. So anybody that comes out, please call. And if you have a friend, just come. Bring a friend. You can bring as many people as you want, but you get a chance to actually just sit there and listen. And I'll tell you, you got some friends that are suffering from some hormonal issues, whatever. They just don't know what's going on. Bring them. I think every single question that they have will be answered there.
We'll be back with more from Dr. Bob here on 106.3 The Shore about the Feel Great Nate seminar coming up this Thursday. Coming up this Thursday, Dr. Bob Olivieri back with us again to talk more about this upcoming seminar this Thursday. Feel Great in 8 is the new expanded version. Used to be 8 weeks, now it's 8 months. It's a comprehensive, life-changing plan, and it is a commitment. You really do have to make a commitment to this thing.
Right. If you're seeking answers, this is not for everybody, but if you're seeking some answers and you have been tried many other things and they really just haven't worked for you, hopefully this is going to provide this. At the root of this particular program is really some diagnostic testing that has not been performed. Most of the time, I have never, ever had a patient go through this that has gone through the diagnostic testing that we're using here. It's not standard blood work, although we do blood work. It's designed to get to the root cause of whatever the problems is. It's getting into the cellular health as opposed to getting into more of the system types of health. So that's the cause. So lots of times people want to know, well, what's the path that we're going on? Well, it's really driven by the outcomes of the diagnostic testing. So along the road, we do certain things to support you in your lifestyle and nutrition. So we're going to look at all the different stressors in your life. What are some of the things, because lots of us have some pretty significant things that have affected us. It may be a death of a loved one. It may go through a divorce. It could be multiple different things, stressors.
And you can't always change those, Dr. Bob.
You can't, but they change your physiology. Mm-hmm. So you can isolate certain things that have gone awry in your physiology ever since those incidents and help support those particular pathways in some way, like nutritionally. I'm not saying this is a miracle cure, I'm saying that what you do is you look for underlying clues to say, okay, this particular pathway goes this way, and we have a couple things along there that you're missing. Let's actually add those to you. And then we also say, okay, with the lifestyle and nutritional portion of this, let's look at those stressors. Let's try to address it. What are some of the things that we can actually do to help alleviate stress in your life? We're going to talk about sleep patterns, because sleep patterns are stressors. If you have abnormal sleep patterns, they cause stress in your, and the big stress hormone is cortisol. Cortisol is greatly disturbed when you have abnormal sleep patterns. So you're going to get an education. When you leave this thing, you should be able to manage your life in 1,000 times better way. We're going to have you do certain things that you may feel uncomfortable. For guys, we're going to have you journal a little bit. It only takes a minute or two a day, but you're going to write down some of those things, because if you try to carry all those different things, all those thoughts that are going on in your head all day long, if you don't get them down on paper, and we're going to teach you a process of how to prioritize whatever those particular things are that are stressing you out during the day, then you don't have a map. So we're going to show you how to actually map out your day. We're going to have you think about, something. I had a really stressful day. Well, I guarantee you there was probably a couple good things that happened during that day.
Sure.
How about pointing out those things? What are you grateful for? If you were to get down on your hands and knees and say, something, thank you very much, I am grateful for. How about writing that down? Just one thing. It took you about 10 seconds to think of it and write it down. But, when you do that, you actually bring to a higher level, from your subconscious to your conscious. Wow, something? Even though I have a stressful day, I have a great life. I really do I'm alive. I have a lot of different things that kind of beat me up every day. But we're going to figure out how we actually can prioritize those. So things that may look like there's 100 things that are really, really bothering you might only come down to 2 or 3 things. And how do you go about trying to tackle those?
So it's not just a treatment program; it's a lifestyle program.
It truly is. We're going to try to get you to change certain things in your life on perceptions. We have a whole section on mindset. I always use this term because I was influenced when I was in high school. Earl Nightingale was the first person to come up with this. You are what you think about all day long. Mm-hmm. That's what you are. You become what you think about all day long. So if you have negative thought processes, and a lot of people have taken this, who's the guy that's doing all the Daniel Amens calls them ants, automatic negative thoughts, that go on there. There's a lot of different terminology for it, but they're real. The clue to that is you can change those things over a really short period of time with the right tools. So if you think positive thoughts, you become much more of a positive person.
I got a quick question for you, Dr. Bob. If you want to get into this program, this Feel Great Nate, how significant a role would your significant other play in this? Your wife, your husband, or whatever?
Huge. It's so important. You're changing the lives and the families of people in Cape May County. That's my message. That's my passion. You're not doing anybody a service if you're the one at home just trying to do. If your children or if you look at your children, you can tell if they're athletic. You can tell if they're overweight.
Right.
If they're overweight, what do you think you're producing as adults? If they're overweight right now, what do you think you're doing? And honestly, as parents, I'm calling you out. It's your fault. It is your fault if your child's out of shape and they won't eat. Baloney. They'll eat what you prepare, but we're going to teach you how to actually do that. Your child's like slightly ADD or slightly it's showing some autism spectrum disorder. You better start looking at their diet. You better start looking at the inflammation, because all of that affects their brain. Every bit of that affects their brain. I used to have a huge program with dealing with children with that. The children were wonderful. Dealing with the parents were really difficult. They weren't, because the father still wanted to be able to have his cheeseburgers and Doritos. The mother's like trying to cook a little bit better, and so the kids are finding where the cheeseburgers and Doritos are,
right,
as opposed to trying to eat some healthier snacks, having some like apples with peanut butter on it or something, along those lines, or almond butter. So this, you're not only are you going to change yourself, you're going to influence your family. That's a great question. But if you influence a person, which goes out to a family, which goes into a neighborhood, which goes into a community, you've really done. That's what a doctor is supposed to be. A doctor is a teacher. That's what he is. And I'm horrible. I'd be the first one to admit I stink on the radio. I'm not a good speaker. I'm not a good orator. I get it. But my message is strong and clear, and that's why I do it. I don't like do.
And you're passionate,
right? But I mean, really, it's not easy to get up every single morning or once a week and come on a radio show and talk about something that you don't even know whether anybody even cares about. But the reality of it is for those that it only takes 3 or 4 people to listen to change their family, to tell another family, hey, it does work. Because I can talk all I want. It's meaningless to the listeners until they go ahead and listen. But I tell you, at this presentation, most people get it. They get it. They see the bigger picture. Just the ones that have issues, But I think it's a strong, powerful message.
And once again, Dr. Bob, the seminar is this week. Tell us the details, please.
It's this Thursday at 7:00. Goes from 7 to about 8:15, and you come to our office in Rio Grande, 1501 Route 47 in Rio Grande, and you have to call to reserve some seats. And the number is 609-886-8585.
All right. And Dr. Bob Olivieri, the website is?
OlivieriChiropractic.com. We're very excited because we're about to design, we're almost finished, a specific Feel Great Nate website that we're going to have video. And I'm telling you, you're going to get more information than you ever possibly wanted coming out for this website.
All right. If you want to go to the seminar, give them a call, 886-8585. Thank you, Dr. Bob, for joining us. And Dr. Bob will be back again next Tuesday.